Spiders. Everyone knows what they are, and they're everywhere. And everyone knows someone who's at least mildly adverse to spiders, with about 75% of the population having at least some fear. This gives spiders a large cultural presence, and that cultural presence leads to some interesting symbolism. Spiders have a unique dichotomy where they're both presented as creators and destroyers due to their building of webs and their use of webs in trapping and ensnaring insects and, in mythological cases, humans. In Greek mythology, you have the tale of Arachne, who was a good weaver, some consider the best weaver ever, and she challenged Athena to a weaving contest where the loser never could weave again. And the story differs from place to place. Sometimes she was the better weaver, but she offended the gods and was turned into a spider. And in other cases, she lost the weaving contest and was turned into a spider as a consolation prize. But either way, she was turned into a spider, and she became the mother of all spiders, and she had the ability to weave forever as a spider. In ancient Mesopotamia, the spider is represented by the goddess Utu, who was the goddess of weaving. Weaving was very prevalent in those times, as it had to be done by hand for all clothing items, and clothing was essential for living. So therefore, it was very common, and being good at it was a well sought out attribute. In the Native American tribe of the Hopi, there was a goddess called the Spider Grandma, who was associated with the earth and was basically kind of like Mother Gaia, where she created all of the people and creatures on earth with the sun god Tawa. These elements of creation, be it creating life, creating art, or just creating webs, are some of the ways where spiders have been portrayed as good or creative outlets. But there's another side to the spider, the side of destruction or the side of death. In Japanese mythology, there is a yokai called the Tsukumigo, which is a spider yokai, or with a yokai meaning a supernatural monster. This monster basically waits in its nest to ambush humans and uses tricks and illusions to capture this prey. Like the spider has the ability to portray itself as a young boy to trap people in its webs. This use of snares and traps paints the spider as more of a trickster or a deadly force to be reckoned with, and is what is often seen in modern literature. In West African mythology, there is the character of Ansai, who is both a storyteller and a trickster. This god brought stories to the world by tricking monsters into defeating themselves in order to have the gods give stories to the humans as part of a deal. And this shows both elements of the spider dichotomy at one time. The spider is a creator in that he's bringing stories to people and he's telling stories, but he's also a trickster, as he had to outsmart and trick his opponents and monsters in order to be able to get the gods to even give the stories in the first place. And then there are also examples of spiders in modern literature and pop culture, as the only examples of spiders obviously aren't just in mythology. In The Lord of the Rings, there was a giant spider named Shelob who worked with Gollum in an attempt to kill Sam and Frodo. Shelob had tried to trap and kill Frodo by trapping them in her web, but they were able to cut themselves out with the sword, the Sting, and Shelob accidentally impaled herself on the sword and ran away, allowing Sam and Frodo to escape. And in Harry Potter, there were also giant spiders. This time, the spider's name was Agrog. It was raised by Hagrid, and it lived in the Forbidden Forests outside of Hogwarts. And this spider had a lot of descendants. It wasn't just a singular spider. These descendants had captured and were going to eat Harry and Ron, but they were able to escape thanks to Ron's magical car. Now, in both of these examples, spiders are much more of a destructive force, and they play off of more of the modern fear that we have of spiders, as well as the elements of entrapment and ensnarement. And spiders, while typically feared in today's society, had a large amount of meanings in ancient mythology, from creator to destroyer, weaver to trapper, and from friend to foe.